How to create a journal or an edited volume on EdTech Books that accepts submissions from the public, but then also allows you as the editor to use the reviewing system to manage peer review. So to get started, just log in to EdTech Books like you normally would, and then click Create. Here I'm just going to create a new journal, call it My Journal. Create, here it is. So now whenever I log in, I'll see my journal here in my main login window, or my dashboard. Now that I have my journal, if I click the right menu over here and click Authorship, I can scroll down and allow public submissions. Once I've turned that on, I click Exit, you'll see a notification here that reminds you that public submissions are turned on, so that when you're done accepting submissions, just turn it off and then you won't get any more. But what this means is that anyone can come here now and they can click the menu and click Submit, and they can submit a manuscript to your journal or your volume. So to demonstrate what this would look like, I'm just going to click here, open a new tab. So if someone comes here, it'll require them to log in or create an account, and the reason for that is so that there's an email address associated with it so that we can notify them of updates to the manuscript. But so the submission that I'm going to submit here would be this article that I've written in Google Docs. So I'm just going to copy the title. I come out over here and just start filling out the forms. There's my title, subtitle, abstract, add any keywords. We'll just do let's do A/B testing and OER. The person submitting can even decide what the custom URL will be that they want on it. So I'm just going to do A/B testing. It didn't list any authors. And then down here is where they would paste their content. So they could either do Command A, copy and paste it. They could paste from anything, including Microsoft Word. Or if they've written it in Google Docs, they can also just copy the link if it's a public link. Paste that here, click Submit. So once they've done that, they can then see that it's submitted. They can preview the manuscript. This one looks pretty good. They can come in and edit it to make any changes. So in this case, I can get rid of the title and subtitle and abstract from the manuscript itself. And click Save. Okay, here it is. So now that it's submitted, the editor would see it here on the journal's homepage. So they see it listed here in the table of contents. Notice there's this I symbol here showing that it's not published yet. So when the editor sees it, they can then click on it, come in and review it. But then if they want to send it out to external reviewers, all they need to do is click the menu over here to the top right, click Reviewing. Here they can determine, they can set a progress level for it. So this is just for note taking, so you can remember like where you're at with the review process. So I'm going to say this one I'm ready to send to external review. I could assign it to another editor. So if I have other editors working on the volume with me, this is a way of just divvying out tasks. But then once I'm ready to add a reviewer, I just type in their name. And if they're in the system, they'll show up here. I can show you later how to add new users to the system or new reviewers to the system. So now that I've added this Royce Kimmons person as a reviewer, I look down here and notice that he hasn't accepted yet because I haven't notified him or anything yet. So to send a notification, I just click this, email this reviewer, and it shows you what the email will look like. There are different templates here to choose from. So in this case, I want to do a new request, but I can choose a different email template if I want to operate off of, or I could just use a blank template and it'll just use their name. But I'm going to do new request. In this request, it sends them a link to the manuscript. It sends them a link where they can accept or decline the invitation directly from their email without logging in. So just to clarify, when an author submitted a manuscript, they had to log into the system. When a reviewer is doing a review, they don't need to log in. So I click Send, and off it goes. So I'm now looking in my email address on an email in a separate window. Okay, so I'm going to open that in an incognito window so you see what it looks like when I'm not logged in. Okay, so this is what a reviewer would see once they click the on the email. So they see information about the manuscript. They can decide whether or not they want to accept it. So I'll say, yes, I'm willing to review this manuscript. When they do, they then have multiple options for accessing the manuscript. They can access it on the website. Notice now the byline with the authors is removed, so that's not included, so it can be blinded. Similarly, there's a Microsoft Word version that they can download, and it will not include author information on it either, so they can review the MS Word version of it. And there's also a PDF version that is being built. Normally it takes about 5 or 10 minutes for it to build, but then once they access this in the future, they'll also be able to access the Word version or the PDF version. So once they go through and do the review, they can leave their feedback here. They can also leave feedback for the editor if they don't want the authors to see. If there are things that they want to say that they don't want the authors to see. So I'll just type in here's my review. It's pretty good. And then to the editor, just so you know, I think this should be published soon. Okay, you also have the option, or your reviewer also has the option to attach a file. So if they can, here I'm just going to attach this document, where if they have kept notes on the document itself or want to leave in-text feedback on it. And then ultimately they make a recommendation. So this reviewer is going to say request minor revisions and then submit. And there it is. So now the reviewer can close and they're done. So quick and painless, right? So for the editor then, the editor can come here. If they click the reviewing tab or refresh the reviewing tab, now you'll see the review that came through. I can see, this isn't blinded for me as the editor, so I can see who submitted it. I can see their feedback, what their suggestions are. I can open their attachment, and so forth. As I have multiple people doing reviews, they'd show up here. Then I, as the editor, could make notes on this. Are generally positive, but okay. Now, once we've gotten our reviews, I can decide what to do with it. So I'm going to, in this case, request minor revisions, and I'm going to then email the authors. So this will send emails to any of the authors on the publication. Again, I have some templates, so I have like an acceptance template, and then we'll add some additional templates in the future for minor revisions and so forth. But so I can send them an email. The author then, when they get the email, they can then come to the manuscript. They can update it here. They can make changes, and then they can go to the reviewing tab. They won't see the names of reviewers or anything like that, but they can leave a response to the editor. As the editor then, if you're ready, if you think it needs to go through another round of revisions, all you need to do is add a new reviewer. And since I already made a determination on that round, if I try to add a new reviewer now, you'll notice that it goes into a new round. So now we're on round 2, and we have this same reviewer, and I can add as many reviewers as I would like. Once I'm happy with it, though, as the editor, I can send the authors an email telling them that. I can accept. They'll receive a link that takes them to the publication checklist. Over here, I can also click on the publication checklist, or I can send this. I can just copy this URL and send it to the author directly as well. So I'm going to click publication checklist. So this is what they would see. Once you're happy with it as the editor, you'd send them this link, then they go through this process. So it just tells them this is the checklist that'll walk you through the final steps in publishing your content. Click proceed. Just has the verified title, abstract, publication year, and license. So in this case, there wasn't the license set on the journal itself, so the author would set it. If there is one set on the journal, then that would be set by default. They can also adjust any keywords. Click next. They need to verify the author order. If they're not happy with that, they can click edit and edit that. They can change the author order around. They can turn on their biographies. Now in this case, test user doesn't have a biography. Now notice that the author is not able to edit the biography, and that's because we want to make sure that test user has control over their own biographies, their own images, and those kinds of things. So each author can log in and update their information, and then that'll show up here, and they can do that before or after publication. Click next. It'll ask them to review the citation just to make sure they're happy with it. This is just an additional check. They can't edit this directly, but if something's wrong, like in a username or an affiliation or something like that, will help them to find it. And then ultimately they can come in and edit the manuscript itself again. They can also open reviewer feedback to remind themselves what they need to change if there's some minor changes they need to make before they publish it. But then they come down, they click Save Changes, and they say it's ready to publish. Congratulations. You have completed the publication checklist and your content is now published. So the author can now come here and see that it's published. The editor, you can now see from the editor's perspective that it's published, it's ready to go.